Welcome, everybody, to another edition of ScarfLife Podcast. ScarfLife Podcast brought to you by ScarfLife.com. ScarfLife.com, the one and only and best place to get your Real Salt Lake news, banter, and overall knowledge. With your co hosts, Adele and
Bakir.
Bakir. Sir, how is it? How's it going?
I'll throw out the cliche that I've heard once or twice. It's sometimes better to be lucky than good.
Ooh.
And I'm feeling pretty lucky these days.
What are you trying to say? You did not like what you saw from Real Salt Lake against Colorado?
Excuse me. I liked the last 5 minutes, and to be honest with you, not even the full last 5 minutes. I liked minutes 80 to like 88. That was good, and then everything else was not good. But that's just my take. What did you see? And
Well, yeah, we scored in 85th to 88th. The 85th out of a penalty that was a clear penalty. That was a clear red card. I don't even feel bad about having scored in that. Not that I would ever feel bad about scoring, no matter what. I feel much the same way. We played horrible. We played horrendous. I don't remember the last time I was watching a game and was more tuned out of the game because it was just so unbearable. At least in games past, when we didn't play too good, we created chances, missed the chances, then we had someone to be mad at. This time around, it seems like there wasn't a single player that was performing too well on that pitch for us. Jura was MIA most of the game. Even Albert Rusnak, after that incredible performance against Vancouver last week, came back and dropped a total egg, I thought, last night. No one did well. We got extremely lucky at the very end.
absolutely,
Which is okay.
right. I mean, I think you just summed it up perfectly. It's from basically kickoff, I mean, till that final whistle, there was nothing happening on the pitch that I was like, this is good soccer being played by us right now. I think we managed to squeak out 3 points due to some like individual heroics from our man Lennon. He was the only guy on that field who, if I were to give a rating, above a 6. Everyone else is 6 or lower for me.
Is it because of the goal, or is it because of other performance as well?
No, it's so I actually ended up watching the game again today in a bit clearer state. And from about the 60th minute on, he was on that left side every single time that ball went out and it was a Colorado possession. He would chase that ball down, set it up for them, and try to get the time wasting to stop. I would argue that of the 11 RSL players on that field, I think he was still the only one that actually thought we had a chance. Every single time that ball went out of bounds, he would chase it down, set it up, or he'd put it up for the goal kick for the opposing goalie. The goal definitely helped, but I would say his actions and his mannerisms all along that left side were clear indicators of a guy that was still in it. He had definitely man of the match.
Good. Well, he had the Audi index score. He had by far the highest score on RSL. A lot of it came from, he got 327 points on a goal from outside the box. He got 175 points from a match-winning goal, which, if you do the math, that comes to about 500 points. He had a total of 748 points. So you take the goal away, you take the fact that it was from outside the box, you take the fact that it was a game winner. You take those things away, and you don't have much in terms of, yes, you had a lot of completed passes. Here's a key point, though. Saying if you take a race car's wheels away, you don't have much. Of course, you don't have much, right? Big players step up in big moments, right?
Absolutely.
He took that ball. He went for it. He took a master shot. I'm not sure if you want to discuss the celebration afterwards. It was all sorts of confusing. A little Ronaldo, a little bit of what's his name, Hazard. Messi. It was a little bit of Messi. I'm not even sure everything that was in there. But you know what? We needed him, and when we needed him, the kid stepped up. This kid took the big shot, and we won. He won us the game. So Brooks
Absolutely.
Lennon player of the match, hands down. Agreed.
And I think there is an inherent danger to what you just said. It's he stepped up and he won us the game, and that's great. And hindsight being 2020, that's fantastic that we managed to get the full 3 points away in a very difficult place. It's us winning due to individual heroics and not team performances is not the ideal outcome. I think as a club, we are used to big players stepping up in big moments and individual heroics leading to results. And I don't think that's sustainable long term. Because what happens when Brooks Lennon goes down? What happens when Nick Romano finally retires? It's these individual heroics that aren't part of the system that end up kind of screwing us down the line. It's we need to play better soccer as a club. We don't need Brooks Lennon to be a better player. It's kind of what I'm trying to get at. I love that he put that away, but I would
Yeah.
much rather see a better team performance realistically.
So I would much rather see a better team performance if it also meant 3 points. I'll take a bad performance and 3 points over a good performance, and 0 points or 1 point, kind of what we made our living on last year, any day. Also, I don't really have a problem with individuals stepping up and saving us, right? I mean, Real Madrid is nothing without Ronaldo, right? Ronaldo keeps stepping up and saving Real Madrid. Um, if you look at LA, they had individual contributors throughout the years who stepped up when the going got tough, right? Stepped up, won them the game. I have absolutely no problem with that. But speaking of the system, we published an article over the weekend. 3 things I'm looking for from this match, and basically they were pace of attack, number 1, a more direct attack, Albert Roshniak's leadership, and number 2, and number 3 being fight and grit, right? I mentioned in the article that against Vancouver, even when we were not scoring, we didn't hang our heads. We kept fighting. We kept playing. I think number 3, fight and grit, definitely was shown yesterday because we came back very late to win a very tough match in a very tough place to play. How do you feel about number 1 and 2? Did you see the pace of attack, the direct attack?
Yeah, it's I think that long ball over the top it's definitely a skill for us. We have the speed up front now, which is something I never thought I'd say, to actually make that a viable option, but it can't be our only option. I like the directness of our play, but some of those balls sent over the top, especially, I mean, I don't want to call out guys by name here because I think overall performance as a
Call
team,
them out, baby. Call them out by
but
name.
I think those long balls to Bofo were just a waste of time. Those were desperate attempts to get the ball into the opponent's defensive third. And
were they bad balls, or was both of them going to get to them either way?
I think realistically, Bofo became a non-factor in that game on the front line for me pretty quickly. He of the front, he probably disappeared the most, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I think the directness and those long balls are, given the circumstances, can be good. But I think against Colorado, given how quickly they collapsed, our just counter needs to be faster. And that is where I think we need to look to Rusnak to really improve. And I think that's where his leadership needs to come in handy. And I use air quotes because I don't think anyone's looking at the 20-something-year-old to actually lead the team, but he does need to lead the pace of the attack. And I think everything that we saw against Colorado, there was definitely a lack of pace. We did not hit him with the counter fast enough, in my opinion.
Yeah. Anyone else stood out positively or negatively to you?
I mean, negatively, it's I think we need to start talking about Yora as possibly being on the bench in the next couple of games. It's
fighting words.
I mean, no, and
say that again so everyone can hear you.
I think it's you've asked me I think a few games now. It's how many more bad performances can Yura have before we as a fan base need to ask him to maybe relinquish that starting spot? And I mean, if it's not this one, it's got to be the next one because I'm really glad he put that PK away. I don't think anybody else on the field would have done it as confidently as he did. But other than that, he really didn't do a whole lot for me. Um, I think he brings a nice energy and a nice hustle to that role, but the results just aren't there for me right now. And we have enough options, especially as Plata regains fitness, hopefully in the next week or so, where maybe he's the sub, and maybe that's kind of what he needs to get that fire going.
Man, I couldn't disagree with you more. I actually agreed with you more a couple of weeks ago, I think. Uh, I think I'm seeing pretty good things out of Euro myself. Sure, he didn't have the greatest game last week, but it's that old Zlatan Ibrahimovic concept. It doesn't matter if you play like crap for 89 minutes. If you're in the right place at the right time and you put the chances away when they come along, that's all that matters, really. I also think beyond this play, he gives the team a certain swagger, a certain level of confidence, right? A certain professionalism. I don't think Yura is the problem. Um, I mean,
Or
who would you
I don't
replace him
think.
with? What three forwards do you put in right now?
Well, I mean, I realistically think Brooks Lennon can play that center role quite well.
Hmm.
I think you have Plata on the left if he's healthy, and Bofo on the right.
Hmm.
That
Okay.
I and honestly, I think those attacking three, we will be killing defenses with speed. It's if you don't give the enemy enough time to reset and kind of clog that middle, then there's they can't keep you off the boards, in my opinion.
Is it time to start talking about benching Kyle Beckerman?
Um, I think you look at games like the one yesterday against Colorado, and you want to say it's he's losing a step or he's slowing down, but when you talk about that bite and that swagger, that's Beckerman to a T, in my opinion. It's he knows when to commit the tactical foul. I think he especially now that he's more of a defensive role and he isn't being asked to cover all of the midfield. I think he can kind of be that captain on the field. It's to me, benching Kyle Beckerman is definitely a bad move, in my opinion.
Hmm. All right. So I think we both agree with the fact that it was a bad performance. We got lucky, but we'll
Right.
take it. There were
Absolutely.
some
I mean,
bright
I
spots.
there were. I realistically have never been that happy about our subs. It's I think under the old regime, that game we lose 1-0, and I think it's because substitution patterns.
Hmm.
I think you saw our initial two subs come on, and that game opened up for us. It totally changed. All of a sudden, we had numbers forward. I think Silva had a solid game, and I would credit that first goal was primarily due to him. I think he puts that ball into the box.
That's right. I think so too. You know what else we wouldn't have seen under the old regime that we saw yesterday? Our coach coming out and saying, "We played bad. Let's not get carried away with just the fact that we won the game. We actually played bad. We got lucky, but we played bad." I don't remember Jeff Cassar saying anything along those lines ever, right? And I think sometimes it just needs to be said. He said it. He realizes we played bad. There's no misconception about we are awesome because in the last two games we have gained the full 6 points. He realizes it wasn't a good performance. He realizes we need to improve, and that's a big bonus in my book. That's a mentality that Jeff Cassar did not have.
Yeah, I agree 110%.
All right, let's look forward. Next Saturday, we play against the new kids, Atlanta United. Is this correct?
It is. You nailed it.
Atlanta United, man, they've been doing pretty good. I'm
Uh,
looking up. I'm looking up their um, score. Oh, excuse me. I accidentally started looking up Minnesota United.
don't do that.
Little different
We don't
animal.
need
They're
that.
not doing. They're not doing all that bad. But how do you feel about Atlanta next week?
Atlanta scares me. I'll be honest with you. I watched some of the highlights of their Montreal game, and I think a horrible call, in my opinion. But they ended up playing down a man for essentially the whole second half. They continue to be aggressors. They continue to attack. Considering that they had a tie at that point and played down a man, I think that's a ballsy move. It ended up costing them. They did lose that game 2-1. But for a side that was down a man for essentially a whole half of the game, they played some attacking, aggressive soccer. I would argue that coming out of the East, they are one of the top teams. They scare me.
Could they be? I think that they easily could be the best expansion team in the first year, right? Usually,
Absolutely.
or almost always expansion teams have a horrendous first year or two, but they seem to be doing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean they've hit the ground running. They haven't been afraid to make big name signings. They are stacked with talent. They good coaching. It's this definitely playoff bound, and I think they're going to make a run pretty deep. And I think given that this is their first year of existence, that is admirable.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting. I think we realistically facing them need to play the same type of soccer we played against Toronto in our season home opener. We make it ugly. A lot of pauses. You put Sonny out there and you have Sonny do Sonny things if he's healthy. And you just you make the game ugly. In my opinion, that's the only way to really play with them. I think if we go and try to play soccer against these guys, we will lose.
Really? You think they're that good?
I would argue that they're the most technically gifted side in MLS right now.
Wow, that's a bold statement, considering, amongst other things, the fact that they're an expansion team. I mean, they did put, what, 5 or 6 past Minnesota? So we have played two of the same team. We have played 2 of the same teams so far, right? They beat Chicago by quite a bit. So we have both played Chicago. We have both played Minnesota. And yeah, they did a lot better against them than we did. All right. So what's your score prediction for next Saturday?
I'm gonna say 1-1. I think we tie this one, and but I do think we can hang with them. But I also think that they end up stealing a couple points from the Riot, realistically.
Couldn't disagree more. Actually, I think I'm thinking 3-1 RSL, because what encouraged me was that Petke knows we didn't play well in Colorado, and I think he has the skill set to fix whatever was wrong last week. Right? He actually has the skill set.
I agree with you.
To fix it.
I think he does have the skill set to fix it. I don't think it's a fixable problem in a week. It's there's a short turnaround here.
Well, I don't think we have to completely, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater here, type of a thing, right? We saw just 2 weeks ago against Vancouver a great performance by the exact same squad. I don't think we need to, reinvent anything or reinvent the wheel here. We just go back to playing how we played against Vancouver, and it's a home game,
right?
I think the right will be packed, as it usually is, but especially now, there's a certain vibe, a certain energy amongst RSL Nation right now, and I can definitely see the players coming out, led by Jura Mosisian and Albert Rusniak, because I think they both know they didn't play too well last game. I can just see the team come out, give it all they have, along with the new tactical knowledge passed down to them by Mr. Mike Petke. I don't see us posting a shutout against these guys, but also don't see us not winning at home. I'm calling it 3-1.
I think you need to be more realistic about the teams we've beaten these last 2 runs and the state that they were in. It's we had a Vancouver side coming to us, playing their 3rd game that week, just coming from a pretty disheartening Champions League loss, and then we put 3 away in a blizzard, and then we went to Colorado, which I will grant is a notoriously difficult place to play. But one of the reasons that they're a difficult place to play is because of Tim Howard. He was out. They're a team that I don't think has an identity right now. And there's something to be said for we pick these dudes off at a really, really good time. I don't think Atlanta's coming through the riot with identity crises. They're not coming off of any big losses. They're not coming exhausted. I think we're facing a well-rested, well-oiled machine, and I think they're here to play. I think we need to be realistic about the states of the teams we've beaten. That being said, love the
Understood.
hype train. I'm on the hype train. RSL till I die, but I think we do need to be realistic about the manner in which we got these last 6 points.
I understand that, but also, I mean, they have to look at it. If you look at the same thing from their perspective, right? They're playing a team that has a ton of talent. We have a lot of talent on this team. I remember debating you and many others just before the season started about. I think most people were saying we have the deepest bench we have ever had. I never understood that what was so special about our bench. It is being tested now because everyone's injured, right?
Right.
Everyone and their dog is injured. But at the same time, I mean, what happens in return? You have people playing for their jobs, right? You have everyone starting with the coach playing for a job because our owner said not too long ago the only thing that matters are results. Nothing else matters, right? Which is also a good, refreshing kind of attitude towards this whole thing. Um, I don't see. I mean, I haven't watched them all that much. I've seen a lot of the highlights, but I don't see how they can have a deeper talent pool than we do, and they certainly don't have the motivation that we do. We're playing at home. We're on a roll. I just don't see us not winning that game. The only downside of that whole game is that I won't be there. But other than that, I do not see us not getting 3 points out of this game. All right. Anything else we need to cover?
Well, I mean, speaking of RSL talent, after the performance Lennon put on, there's quite a few people on social media and in comment sections clamoring that we sign this kid and we buy him up no matter what it takes. And as much as I would love that, and as much as I think he has been a phenomenal addition to that attacking core, there is no way Liverpool is giving him up.
Mhm.
I think earlier you were making fun of his celebration, and I think it's worth remembering that this kid's 19 years old. There's so much raw talent and there's a maturity in his game that I think it's sometimes hard to remember the fact that he's literally a teenager. And I
A
think
teenager who will be dearly missed this summer when he's off to the World Cup, the under 20, is it?
under
Under
20s,
21
yeah.
World Cup.
But after that, it's as much as I would love for us to retain him. I think RSL fans need to be realistic about the fact that when his stint with RSL is over, there's a very high probability he is going back to Liverpool. I just don't see us hanging on to him.
That's not a bad problem to have if you think about it. If Liverpool is going to be interested in him to come back and play for them, that means he must have done something right while he's here. And I'll take a year or 2 years of service so good that Liverpool Football Club wants your services from that point forward. If he does that, that will be okay. That's going to be just fine in my book.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. It's realistically, I see the floodgates, opening here. I don't think he's gonna score 30 goals this season or anything, but I think he gets into the double digits before it's all over.
Ooh,
10, 11
double
goals.
digits this year.
Yeah, this year.
This year.
I think so. I think he's earned that starting spot. I think now that he's scored his first MLS goal, it's that monkey's kind of off his back, and I think he's going to put a few more away before it's all over.
I think he's going to put a few away. I don't think he goes anywhere near 10 or 11. I think 6, 7 is the ceiling. In part because his minutes will be limited going forward, right? Unless he's doing extremely well. And he will be gone for the Under-20s World Cup.
True,
right?
true. There's
So
a
he'll
long
miss.
stretch of time.
Mhm. All right. Um, I think that's all we have for today.
I think
Um,
it's a light one.
yeah, next week, RSL Nation will record the ScarfLife podcast slash VCast slash Google Hangout directly from the Irish Republican pub on 900 South and State Street, 900 South, right?
Yeah, something like that.
And well, wish us luck. We'll need it, and we'll take it from there. Thank you all very much for joining us. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk again soon.